Hey, what's up, everybody? So, me and Santino finished the MCU retrospective last week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We've got many more to come. So, this week, because we had 5 weeks this month, we figured, let's just do kind of overall thoughts, hopes for the future, just a general more of a MCU full-on discussion. Film as the MCU as a whole, as opposed to the individual movies. So, Santino, what does the MCU mean to you now?
Well, Chad, for me at least, the MCU right now to me means that while it's good, I love the overall Endgame Thanos story they had. I want them to kind of slow down. I really don't want them to push out the same movie with the different formula, or no, different movies with the same formula. I mean, I don't want them to really go the same. I want them to like take a breather, take a breath, focus on making movies that are more creative aspects. Because like right now, while I do like the MCU as a whole, it does feel like it's becoming formulaic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like when you look at movies like DC franchise, I mean like it is more creative. Like Joker is not the same as Shazam. Shazam's not the same as Aquaman. It's Birds of Prey is different from Joker. It's all a huge. It's different. It's all very creative. So I am glad that they're doing that. Or even
Mm-hmm.
Fox, who did Logan and New Mutants, which isn't out yet, but the tone of that movie is entirely different from
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Logan.
and don't forget Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the MCU is definitely the safe franchise, which I mean that's why it makes the money it does because it plays everything so safe. And I mean, do they take chances? They felt like they did back in the early days. But I mean, like with Civil War, nobody died. Nobody. That's it. No casualties. Nothing. I mean, even what happened with Rhodey, like he crashed, he got paralyzed, but then they just slapped some stuff on his legs and now he can walk. And it's like it never happened or never even mattered.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the last movie where the MCU took risks was Doctor Strange. I mean, like, even then, it wasn't that really risky. I
Mm-mm.
mean, but like, the movie that really took the most risk was, I think, Guardians of the Galaxy. That was the last movie where it felt like there was a lot of creative juice put into that. And after that, it's sort of like, okay, so the
They
Guardians.
just all started feeling the same. I mean, Endgame and Infinity War, yes, those had some deaths, but it was also like my biggest issue is like we get the big impact of everyone dying from the snap, but then it's just all undone. And it was like, well, okay. Kind of your chance to like start some kind of like a new chapter of the entire MCU or something. But then it was basically just right back to status quo, and Iron Man and Cap are gone.
Yeah, that was the only real change that they made. Iron Man kept going like, okay, yeah, I get it. The pioneers of
Well, and it
MCU.
was like even Gamora's death, while it was impactful, I mean, now we have 2014 Gamora in the post Endgame world. So, I mean, they basically just kind of hit the reset button on her.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, that was a death that while it really meant something, it was also kind of a step back because they're like, well, we still want her, even though her death was impactful. So let's just bring in alternate timeline Gamora. And it's like, okay.
And I guess you can do. I mean, like, I guess you can do that with anything. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like they say Tony Stark's death is will last forever, but I mean, if you really want him back, you can always bring in like an alternate timeline Tony Stark, who's exactly the same as Tony Stark, except that he has blonde hair. I don't know.
Or they'll
Yeah,
clone him or something stupid.
yeah. I mean, like, the thing with the MCU is like I do love it. I really do. It's been with me like HP has, but the thing with HP is I can the deaths are the deaths last. Like you look at Sirius Black when he died. That was so
His
impactful.
death his death felt almost more impactful and was handled, I think, with more grace than almost any death in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, like his death really meant something, and there's no bringing him back. I mean, yeah, you can argue like, oh yeah, they had that one scene in Deathly Hallows with the resurrection son, but he's still a ghost. He's not gonna be there
He's
in the
gone.
flesh. He's
Exactly.
gone. I
And
mean,
it's
like,
like deaths in the I mean, and like that's a perfect example because his death was also discussed, referenced, and it felt like it had a lasting impact. Whereas something as when Quicksilver got killed in Age of Ultron,
yeah,
his
I thought,
name was never mentioned again.
yeah,
Wanda's never even said anything about him. And it's like, I'm so glad your brother who got killed just boom, it had no real lasting effect on you.
yeah, that's the thing. The deaths in the MCU don't have any lasting effect at all. I mean, like Tony Stark's death, we will see. In the future of the MCU, we don't know what happens, but I hope it has a lasting effect on the characters that are there. Captain America becoming old. I hope it does have lasting effect. I hope they just don't quick change it and be like, oh yeah, you know what? We'll just change it. We'll bring him back. Like, Sirius Black's death. As I said, that affects Harry till the end. Deathly Hallows, it's still talked about. Like Harry's still affected by that. He doesn't come back. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. In the future of the MCU, I hope that they don't bring back Stark. I hope he doesn't. I hope he dies. Although that's the thing. That's kind of why I'm also skeptical on that Black Widow movie coming out because they're saying, "Oh, come to the Black Widow movie because he'll be there as a cameo. See him again." You're like, dude, don't cash in on that. Like let his death mean something.
Well, let's focus on that real quick. The Black Widow movie.
Okay.
I mean, I genuinely view it as entirely pointless.
Okay.
What
Yes, I
I
know.
mean, what's the point? She's she's dead. She died in Endgame. What do we need this odd little midquel for?
Yeah, I mean, like I again, that's
Why
I think
could I mean this movie could have taken place at any point it seems like, and they could have just done it then as its own little spin-off. She's on her own side mission or something like that. But no, they wait till after the character dies to be like, "Oh look, we're gonna bank on you wanting to see this dead character again, so come see this movie that takes place between two other movies." I mean, I don't get it. Like, and
yeah,
with it, it just almost feels like it almost feels more like pandering,
yeah,
but it's almost like too
it does.
late of pandering. Like they waited too long to just be like, "Oh, here, have this now." Well, people were asking for this years ago.
They should have released Black Widow at the height of the hype from Winter Soldier, in
Yeah,
my opinion. Yeah, or at least, in my opinion, you should have released Black Widow before before Endgame. Take out Captain Marvel entirely. Like Tony Stark can be saved by anyone. He can be saved by Thor in space, right?
exactly. Because I mean,
Or
Captain Marvel didn't do anything in
yeah,
Endgame really.
yeah. I mean, she destroyed the ship, but dude, Thor can. That can be Thor's redeeming moment from his fat, his weight. He can be the one to destroy the ship, and he can be the one to take out Thanos' army from the ship, and that's his redeeming moment. He can rescue Tony Stark. It means Thor actually was. Thor can be more useful than he was in the original Endgame script. Have the
Hmm.
Black Widow for Endgame, so that when she dies in Endgame, it really means something, and it doesn't have. It's not a cheap cash in like now. I kind of agree with you now. Like as I watched the trailer back when I was like, this really is just you're really just banking on seeing her again, aren't you? So like,
Yeah, and I mean, hey, and just real world right here. Obviously, Santino and I know what's going on with the with all the quarantine, the shutdowns due to the virus. We're aware, but we like to keep stuff like that out of the shows. But with what's going on, unfortunately, now the movie being delayed, that's where I'm not sure. I don't think the hype will follow it whenever they choose to release it.
they honestly just, to be honest, they should just put it on Netflix or Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Like they should.
Disney Plus would probably, I mean, it'd be a financial loss, but at the same time, or stream it on video on demand and you pay to rent it or something. I'm not sure, but I don't know. And it could be really good. I don't know, but like I've said to you before, Santino, I don't care about the character of Black Widow. I haven't for a long time. So for me, like the MCU to me is basically, I don't want to say it's done because
Yeah,
it's obviously not, but I don't have
goosebumps.
the same drive going forward to see them. Like I don't really care what storyline they might be setting up because it's just if a movie from now on for me the MCU is going to be if the concept and the trailers look interesting, I want to see it. Like Eternals I think still sounds
Look,
awesome. And I'm
yeah,
excited for that.
that sounds awesome. I'm excited for that also.
Yep.
I think I can agree with you there. Like it has to be unique, or it has to be a like from a character we've seen before, like Ant-Man and the Wasp. I mean, like the Ant-Man 3 coming out. I know you want to watch that. I want to watch
Yeah.
that also.
It's because I truly like Scott and Hope. I mean,
Yeah,
the Ant-Man and the Wasp are two characters I really enjoy, so I'm excited to see them again. Whereas, like the Black Widow movie, it's a character I don't care about. So
yeah,
it's
or
like there's no obligation for me at this point to be interested in it because it's the story is done, and this is just a midquel where I'm like, what does it matter?
it feels like they're putting out the Widow movie just to like feed the fans for a while, so that they can get to other stuff. Like in my opinion, don't release it
They should have just started this new phase.
with
If it's
Eternals.
really even going to be called Phase 4, I don't know what is that still the term they're going with for everything going
Yeah,
forward, or did they say they're going
that,
to drop the phases?
that's what they're gonna. I think it's the term they're going for. Like Phase 4, that's what they're going for. So yeah,
Yeah, it's just so I don't know. It's like what else? We like when we talked about Black Panther and how both of us were just kind of like it's fine. It is what it is. Like they're gonna
It's-
really have to do something to pull me into want to see Black Panther 2.
yeah, same here. Like it has to the concept of Wakanda, or being introduced into Wakanda, was good the first time, but you really have to switch it up. Like
Yeah, like
that,
I genuinely want to see them bring in like Namor or something and go to war. I
that
mean, that would bring me in.
that would be
It's like
that
if
would
it's
bring me.
just another generic Black Panther adventure, then no, I won't see it because I don't. The first movie is just fine. It didn't really do much for me.
Yeah, that's what a proper sequel should be. You have to change the status quo. I mean,
Hmm.
like I'm gonna pull in another Harry Potter reference, so that's okay. Um, in Chamber of the sequel to the first one, Chamber of Secrets, is a proper sequel because it changes the status quo. It's like it's not just another adventure at Hogwarts. There's a threat. It's a big threat inside Hogwarts. Hogwarts is said to be safe. Now the monster is inside the walls. It's changing the story. Like the characters
Hmm.
evolve with the world. You have to change it also. So like if, in Black Panther 2, if they do make a Black Panther 2, they really have to reel us in with a good story. Like I like the concept of a war between Atlantis. Is it Atlantis? Is Namor from Atlantis?
Hmm. I
I'm
think so.
okay.
I've honestly never read a Namor comic, but
Same here.
the
So
character, but basically, and blasphemy if I'm wrong, I guess he's basically Marvel's Aquaman, who came before Aquaman.
right. So yeah, exactly. So if there's a war between Namor and Black Panther, dude, I am so in.
Yeah,
There
that would be amazing.
there are films from the MCU re- that I really excited to see. Like despite him leaving, I still want to see Multiverse of Madness. I really do.
I don't know how I feel about that anymore. I really don't because I don't remember off the top of my head if Raimi is officially supposed to direct it, but I guess with all the chaos going on, it doesn't matter because everything's being pushed out. But
Ever been?
I don't know. I mean, to me, if Raimi is the one who's going to be directing it, I when's the last time he directed a good movie?
I don't know, but well, the
The
most is Spider-Man 2.
which I mean to the public that's a good movie. I personally don't like it, but it's like yeah, I mean, guys, Spider-Man 2 was like 2004. It's been over 15 years. So it's
Yeah.
like I don't know why people are so excited over it. I mean, hey, whatever. Everyone loves their favorite directors and whatnot, but it's like it's almost like people going like, "Oh my gosh, James Cameron is going to make another Avatar or he did or is whatever." So, first one wasn't that good. He
Yeah.
hasn't made a good movie since 1997, I think,
Which
when
was
Titanic came out.
oh you like Titanic?
I love Titanic.
I love Titanic. I'm just asking because I know you're not the biggest James Cameron fan. I know you don't like Avatar.
I okay. Maybe we'll do a James Cameron retrospective sometime. I like James Cameron as a director. I just don't like his attitude about a lot of things that I'll get into in that episode. But and no, Avatar was not a good movie. It looked cool. So what? Lots of things can look cool. The story was junk.
The story
But
was
it's
bad.
like what? But it's like for him, it's almost like with a man with so much talent as he has. I don't understand why he's wanting to dive so far into this stupid Avatar world when it's like go back to making just like amazing films like Terminator, Terminator 2, Aliens. What happened to that James Cameron?
Yeah, it's weird. I
So,
mean,
but yeah, so with Raimi, if he actually is officially taking over, I don't know. I can't see his style matching the way I liked Derrickson's style.
I love Derrickson's style of Doctor Strange. I thought it was really unique. It was fun. That's why I said to me, the last MC movie with like an ounce of creativity in it. I mean, like you can argue Infinity War and Endgame, yeah, those were, but the last MCU movie,
But
like,
those had to be. It's almost like those had to be something big and different because of what they were.
yeah, exactly. But like the ones before that, not really. Okay, no, actually, Ant and the Wasp was pretty creative. I like that. You know.
Yeah, it was, but it was creative in the sense of what their powers can do. Where
Yeah.
like that, the shrinking and the growing, that was part of the character. So obviously that was brought into it. And yes, it was creative, but that just comes along with their characters and their powers.
Right.
So yeah, with Doctor Strange, it was just the way they handled the visuals and the storytelling. I thought was great. Obviously, we both agreed the villain was very weak, which
Yeah.
sucked. So hopefully, I think who'd they say the villain is going to be in this one? Nightmare, I think.
Nightmare, yeah.
And this
Supposedly.
is the one that they just announced like last week or something that Christian Bale. No, he's going to be in Love and Thunder, right?
Yeah, that's Thor. That's Thor.
Yeah. So I don't know who the villain is going to be played by in this.
Supposedly it's Nightmare.
I
Oh, I'm not an expert on multiverse.
I think that's who it is too. Even though I'm way more of a DC comic fan, so I read DC far more. So I really don't know much about The only thing I know Doctor Strange from in the comics is he was in like one Spider-Man book that I read, and he was basically useless.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, like, that's fine if you don't really know Doctor Strange. I haven't really read. I mean, like, I'm a Marvel fan, but I haven't read really that much comics books for Marvel right now. I mean, like, I'm kind of going. I kind of deviated from Marvel and DC comic books. I'm reading like independent companies, like from the comic book of the boys. I'm reading that
Mm-hmm.
other stuff because we have to, as much as like MCU, we have to give really these other films like creative. They really are more creative, like really, and you have to give it a chance for them.
Yeah, I mean, what they should be focusing on is Feige's job, obviously, of overseeing the entire MCU, is to make sure there's a flowing narrative and to make sure that they put out quality content. Now, while you and I have, over the past month of our discussions of all the films, obviously we've seen a wide range of different types of films in the MCU. We've seen it evolve from the very different Phase 1 up until where we are now at the end of Phase 3. It's definitely changed. And Feige, I'll give him the man amazing credit. He's done a great job of making sure there's been a good flowing narrative so far. I definitely think they dropped the ball with the Captain Marvel movie when it came to that because they showed that I don't know, maybe they can't do prequels because there was a lot wrong with the prequel story of it, but that's neither here nor there. So, but the way they're doing it, I think of just the Feige will be like, the timeline is this. this has to happen because this has to affect the next movie. It takes a very smart person to do something like that, and it's definitely not as easy as some people might think it actually could be for him.
Right.
But at the same time, I want, like we said, I want to start seeing different stuff. I want to see a Logan or a Joker in the MCU. I want to see something that is just like out there, different than what we'd gotten so far. Something that just
Yeah.
makes you go, wow, that was cool. Because, like I said, the rest of these are fun, but none of that, like I said, none will ever be on a top 10 favorite movies list for me because they're just popcorn films. They don't really. I never leave. I walk out of these films going, that was fun. I never really walk out thinking that much about what I just saw because it's like, oh, it was fun. You know, there was the one-liners, the jokes, the explosions, the mass amount of CGI. Yay, I had fun. And that's it. But when I walked out of something like Joker after seeing it for the first time, I was in a completely different mindset upon walking out. And I mean, look at it. Joker is still talked about today. Do we still talk about Captain Marvel? Are people still
No.
talking about Spider-Man Homecoming? No, not really.
Not really. I mean, like, okay, so this is where we kind of differ. I do think that there are films from MCU that are in top 10 favorites, like Winter Soldier, GOTG, I really think. And this is just my opinion, Endgame. But really, I have to agree, like, it won't, like, MCU can never hit the status of, like, Logan. I mean, like, look at Logan. Logan is still talked about today. Like,
Logan will be talked about for a very long time. I
I
thought
can
Logan was honestly, I thought Logan was a way better character finale than Endgame and Infinity War for the deaths.
Yeah, Logan, because Logan was, that's the thing, Logan was a huge, like, deep focus into who Wolverine was and how he was dying and how he doesn't want to do it anymore, but he has to because it's in his blood to be a hero. That's the kind of thing like I walk. Okay, here's the thing. As much as as an MCU fan, as much as I am an MCU fan, when I only saw Joker once in theaters. I haven't really rewatched it. The DVD's not out yet here.
Mm.
But when I walked out of Joker, I really was silent the whole day because I just had to think about what I just saw because it really was like it was disturbing, but it was so well done. I mean, like
Hmm.
disturbing movies good. I have
Well,
watched.
it felt real. Like I said, the MCU to me is like it might have felt a little plot, even though it's not real. Some of it could have felt plausible in the beginning, but now when everyone's got one-liners and quips, it's like I, I mean, it's almost thrown out the window because it's like people don't talk like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I when
But
I when I
something like but something like Logan or Joker, that's that is has an amount of plausibility to it. Even Logan, which obviously is a comic book where mutants and powers, it still felt like more of a real world than the MCU really can.
yeah,
Whereas
I mean,
even DC even feels like what a real world would be like, or at least it did to me in like Man of Steel and BVS. That felt like, yes, this is how the world would actually react. Like
like,
in the world
look
of
at
the MCU, Iron Man, no, his armor would have been taken away from him long ago. He would not be able to have that.
yeah, like BVS. Like I do have my problems with it, but I still think it's not as bad as everyone says it is. I really still enjoy it. Look at BVS. BVS is like I rewatched it recently, and it's really how people would react to superheroes.
Exactly.
Or you look at Watchmen. Watchmen's like the perfect example of
Hmm.
how people would react to heroes who are so overpowered. Watchmen is the antithesis of a superhero movie because it shows that if heroes really existed, this is exactly how it would go down. More than BVS, in my opinion. That's just my
Yep.
opinion.
And another example of a film that feels more of like almost a real world, Wanted.
I haven't seen.
Oh, you still? Oh, you need to. You need to. All right, here's what you need to do. You need to watch the movie, then you need to read the book. Because if you read the book first and then watch the movie, you're not gonna like the movie very much, I don't think. Because
Okay.
the book is way different than the movie is. But the cool thing with Wanted is they're both their own things and they're both awesome. So I urge anyone out there who's seen Wanted, please read the book at some point. You will, okay, basically, this is what you'll do. You'll read the book and you'll wish there was a proper adaptation, but you'll still be happy with the movie adaptation that we have because they're so different from each other. Like, the movie really only does the first, like, maybe the first fourth of the book, and then the movie becomes its own thing. But
Oh,
but yeah, so with the MCU, yeah, I want to see it evolve and I want to get something deep out of it as opposed to just a fun popcorn film.
yeah, it's true. I mean, like MCU had some movies that felt real, like Winter Soldier, Iron Man. The first Iron Man felt real enough. Like the first
Hmm.
Iron Man, I can see that happening. I mean, there are some comic book elements to it. Yeah, the arc, like a real Iron Man suit in this world wouldn't work because you'd have to take a nuclear reactor to power it up. But
Well, and the
I can,
government would take it. He wouldn't be
and
allowed to
the
keep
government
that
would
thing.
take it. Yeah, I mean, like the government would take it.
Especially after what he did when he went to Gomera with the Mark III. You kidding me? He'd have been locked up for the remainder of his existence for that.
Yeah, he probably would have because yeah, because again, but that's the thing. Like the
Yeah,
MCU,
that's the
it,
world the MCU has built. They've built more of a fun world where
it has
sometimes
clipped
rules get thrown out.
it has clipped the suspension cord of disbelief a long time ago. I mean, like the minute they introduced Guardians of the Galaxy, it was like, okay, this is a comic book world, not anymore a real world thing. Like,
Well,
but the
Guardians of
fact,
the Galaxy also had the advantage of they're all aliens basically. So they live in a different world than current modern day Earth is.
yeah, exactly. But I want to see more films. Like, to be honest, for me, what I want in the future of the MCU is I want to see more films that are yeah, I can have some comic book elements in it, but but like Winter Soldier or like Joker or like even Logan, I want to see a film that reflects our own world. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like Winter
Yeah,
Soldier is the
because
one.
that's long since been abandoned.
Yeah, because like Winter Soldier is the one that felt like this is a reference to the government. How they want to keep the peace despite having extreme measures.
Hmm.
Like, exactly like that. Like it reflects our real world scenario.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like I said earlier, going forward, I don't really know or care what I want out of the MCU anymore. All I want is, like I said, if a concept or a trailer looks good, I'll see it. But if I watch the trailer or I don't like the concept or I don't like the character, okay. I mean, because this is another thing that I'm sure you've seen this as well as I have. It's almost become like fans are almost hitting the point now where, like, if I say I have no interest in Black Widow, I get pounded with why. What do you mean why? Why do I have to watch it? Why do I have to be interested in it? Why can't I be interested in other genres? Why does it have to be the norm that I have to want to see an MCU film? Like, I don't understand why it's gotten to that point.
Yeah, that's the thing. But it's like it's not a requirement. You have to watch all. Like watch the
Well,
ones you're
why do I
interested.
have to? Well, why do I have to see any of them? I mean, I'll say stuff like I went and saw, I don't know, some horror film that was barely advertised, and I've had people say, "Why didn't you go see X instead?" And it's like, because I didn't want to. Would you like to buy my ticket for me to go see the movie you wanted me to see? Because then I'll go see it if you buy the ticket. But if not, don't worry about what I spend my money on or spend my time on.
Yeah. Well, my situation is different here, really, because like in Philippine cinemas, I'm not gonna like snipe them because they also want to make money, like, and I'm not gonna don't mean to insult, but really, the thing with here is like we only show films that make money.
Hmm.
So like Endgame, Deathly Hallows Part Two, they're gonna get like a long release as well. Well, stuff like, for example, the recent movie I watched in theaters, Guns Akimbo, that was only out for 5 days. You know what I'm
Jeez.
saying?
At least you
Yeah,
had it. I don't even remember it coming out here.
yeah, but
Or
that's
another example, Color Out of Space for you. That was in theaters for what, 2 or 3 days, I think you told me?
days because it got kicked out by Birds of Prey.
Yup.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing, people. The industry right now is it's about what sucks really right now is as much as I love the MCU, it really is about currency over creativity, which really sucks because like when you have
It
films like
isn't it is an industry, so I get it, but at the same time, like they have to make money. That's how it goes. I mean, if the MCU wasn't making money for some reason, they wouldn't continue. It would stop. They wouldn't care how much people were enjoying it. I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
that's what happened with all of DC. Due to like BVS not making $1 billion, due to Justice League massively underperforming, they overwent a complete overhaul, basically, of DC.
Did you
And
see
I
what?
mean, look at it. Aquaman and Shazam don't even feel like they mesh up with Man of Steel and BVS,
Yeah,
which
the
is
minute
fine, which is perfectly
just
fine in my book, but it's proof that look, they weren't making the money that they wanted them to with the current direction they were going, so they had to go for a change. And that's why I see people say, "Oh, I want the MCU to make changes," and I think they will. I don't think they will. They've found their sweet spot. They know how they're going to make money, and they're going to continue down that path, I believe.
yeah. I mean, like unless fans don't watch, then they won't change. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but we've seen it plenty of times in the Facebook groups we're in. Lots of these people will defend these movies to the bitter end. Like just we'll not say names, but the one discussion we saw yesterday about Endgame and the guy getting angry over those of us who weren't big fans of it. It's like, calm down, man.
I mean, like
Like,
that's the thing. I mean,
relax. What's your problem? Why are you getting so
okay,
upset? Because we have different tastes than you. Who cares? I
as a,
see
as
people do it all the time with movies I love. Like, I've always loved BVS. How do you think it was for me? I mean, thankfully, BVS is starting to come around with the
yeah.
ultimate cut out. But it's like for the longest time, all I heard was it just getting slated every single day. And it's like, I didn't start fights online over it. I was just like, you didn't like it, no problem. And I moved on.
Yeah, that's the thing. As I mean, like the fans of MCU are. I'm a fan of myself, but I'm not diehard to the point where, oh my god, it's so perfect. Like this is the best thing that's ever brings. And I'm like, no, it's not. But like I love it. It's part of my childhood. But then like if I'm in all honesty, like the Harry Potter books and movies flow more seamlessly than the MCU does, because like they're more consistent.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like let's talk about the MCU fan base for a bit. Like I mean, like as I as I live in the Philippines, majority really love the MCU more, and that's fine. That's fine. That's how my country is. But because they love the MCU, like any movie that doesn't is not related won't get $1 million, which sucks really. Because like for
Hmm.
example, Shazam came out 2 weeks
Oh,
before. Shazam came out 2 weeks before Endgame in the Philippines. The minute Endgame arrived, any other movie that was showing, doesn't matter if it was Shazam or an independent Filipino film or an
gone.
independent movie was coming out, any movie that came out before that was wiped from existence. And it was Endgame for 4 weeks in the cinema.
Jeez.
Because that's what people want. I mean, like, that's what. I'm not gonna bash my country. I mean, like, I love my country, but that's what the Filipino people like. They like Endgame. They like the MCU. So Philippine cinemas will show that. I
Hmm.
mean, like, that's the cinema. I mean, like, that's it's quantity over quality. Or if you want a more recent example, before the virus, before everything was locked down here in the country, Guns Akimbo was showing, and then the minute that Vin Diesel Bloodshot movie came out, it was wiped from existence because, oh my god, it's Vin Diesel, Fast and Furious guy. Put it on there, put it on every screen. Like, see?
Oh, jeez. And then it bombed.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
the
hey,
thing.
at least you got Invisible Man. Be happy with that.
Invisible Man was removed the minute Bloodshot cost came out. See, that's the
Oh,
thing. Like
God.
it doesn't last. I mean, like, and the movies that do have an independent creative feel for it, like Parasite or 1917 or Little Women by Greg Gerwig, they only show when they get Oscar buzz. Like,
Yep, to push the Oscar narrative.
yeah, that's the thing. Like but that's the thing. Like they only will show here if there is Oscar buzz. Like for example, I didn't. Little Women was supposed to come out way later in the year because Rise of Skywalker was coming out, and you have to watch and like Rise of Skywalker will get the big bucks, like that. But and Little Women wasn't supposed to come out until like February 19. But the minute that the Oscars came out and Little Women got a nomination, oh here it is, 3 weeks earlier because it's gonna gain money now because people are gonna watch it. It's Oscar buzz. Like that's the thing. It's like it's all related. It's related to the MCU where it's like it's cash over quality right now, and I want them to change that.
Yeah, exactly. I would like them to. That's what I'm saying. I would like them to take risks, but I also know Disney will not allow it. Disney will be like, no. If making a safe film will get us another $1 billion, you're going to make that because we want the billion as opposed to the 600 million on something that's risky. They will literally say, we are a business, we are here to make money, and that's what they'll do. And
I mean,
that's why I give props to DC. Yes, Birds of Prey has not made the money. Lots of and when I say it hasn't made the money that lots of fans hope it makes, it isn't in terms of box office income is not representative of a film's quality. Look at some of the Transformers films. They're junk, but a couple of them made $1 billion. So no, financial income does not mean quality. But at the same time, if a movie does not make a good amount of money, then it scares the studio off from trying more stuff. So like Birds of Prey, that was a risk. That was something different. And financially, it has not paid off, unfortunately. I think that was just due to marketing. I do think Harley Quinn probably should have been in the title, like they changed it a week later. But I don't know. I don't think the MCU will take chances because they know that it might not financially pay off, and that's truly all they care about up at the top.
the only way they would take chances is if it tanks. One of the movies really does bad, and they're like, oh my god, we have to change it. But right now, I mean, like that's the thing. What I want in the future is not just from the MCU but from the fans as well, is to be more open. Be more critical about the movies. Like you don't have to like every single movie that comes out just because it has the Marvel logo slapped in front of the name. Like that.
Yeah, they're not all like I remember for a while. I think it was in like 2016. I think it was in like 2017 or something. I kept seeing people like Guardians 2 came out, and I remember just a Facebook group I was in. Some guy was like, Guardians 2 is my favorite of the MCU so far. Spider-Man Homecoming comes out, and he goes, this is my new favorite MCU film. Ragnarok comes out. This is my new favorite MCU film. It's like they're not. Obviously, taste is subjective and to each their own, but I'm just sitting there and I just would laugh because I'm just like, what? So, so what? Like by the time we hit that Thor Ragnarok is the best. What? The first Iron Man is just junk at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know. What I'd really like to do is give more of a challenge to a lot of the diehard MCU fanboys out there. Try something new. Try a new genre maybe. Try something different. Yes, you're free to like the MCU like me. I love horror films. That's like my genre. But I also am diving into other genres. Like my goal this year, which Santino, I've talked with you about it before. My goal of 2020 was to pick a genre that I've never really gone that big on. And I decided I'm going with musicals. So this year, 2020, I'm going to try and go through and just watch some of the best musicals that I can find and watch because I want to try something new. That's part of, to me, being a film fan overall. You should want to constantly be seeing new types of films. Not like I've seen some people who openly say, I only watch the MCU and Star Wars. That's it? And then they're like, oh, and then I'll be like, like that's it, nothing else. And then they'll list off like three other movies that are coming out that year, and it's stuff that's like all recognizable brands. Like, oh yeah, I'll see Detective Pikachu. Well, okay, because it's Pokemon. But it's like, try something different. Look at these other films out there. I mean, there's a reason stuff like Endgame in the MCU, they haven't won like best story at any major awards because they're not. And it's like, you're free to like these films, yes, but don't you want to expand your film knowledge and experience? Don't you want to see different styles of filmmaking?
Like, yeah, for example, for me, like, for example, I'm an MCU fan. I always have been. But you have to try stuff. Like, for example, last 2019, I watched a lot of independent films. Marriage Story, one.
Mm-hmm.
Uncut Gems, another. 1917, Little Women. Those are all. I mean, I watched those before they got the Oscar buzz. I won't say
Nice.
how here, but I watched it before.
You sailed the high seas, matey.
Yeah, I sailed the high seas. Like I want, like stuff like that is why you need to expand your genre. I mean, like, for example, I love Harry Potter. I'm die hard. Like I practically reference it like here like 3 times in this podcast. But
Mm-hmm.
but I have to be open to other forms of literature. Like I've read other stuff that's not Harry Potter, and they've been great also. It's like that. You have to you have to really
You should want to. People should want to do that. I mean, that's the point of art and entertainment, is the exploration. I mean, you might find like for me, I might like when I watched I know we talked about this between like La La Land, how you like that one much better than the last one I watched, which was Greatest Showman. But it's like I can watch both and appreciate both, and I really enjoy both of them. Because, like, to me, I find it extremely entertaining being able to watch people do stuff that I can't do. One, I can't sing. So anytime I see somebody with a good voice who can sing, my hat goes off to you. And watching, like, dance numbers, I think is incredible. You have to be incredibly talented to be able to pull off singing and dancing. So to me, I watch that, and I'm much more invested in that because that is major talent right there. And I
yeah
love seeing the
yeah
talent that people can give. And like, to me, yes, there's a lot of scenes in the MCU where major talent is required, but a lot of it is also just CGI thrown over stuff where it's like, okay, yes, it does take talent to do good CGI, but like on the side of the actors, I mean, with just the way Hollywood is, with the requirements of stunt doubles and whatnot, my hat goes off to stunt doubles in action scenes more than the actual stars of the films themselves.
yeah. For example, yeah. I mean, like when you watch musicals, like these long takes of people dancing, like you can't do that. Like
That's
you're
hard.
it's hard. Yeah, it takes actual talent. Or for me, for example, my goal last year. I mean, like besides MCU and all that, I watched a lot of dramas. Like Parasite,
Hmm.
which I recommend you see. Parasite. It's a lot of camera work, long takes. The
Hmm.
cinematography. But what really hits me with movies like Parasite, Little Women, Marriage Story is the dialogue. Like there's a point in the films where like those films I just mentioned where the characters are not even anymore characters. They're real people and you're watching it happen. It's like
Like the argument scene between Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson in
exactly
Marriage Story.
like
That to me that scene right there felt more real than anything I've seen in the MCU.
because films like that talk about real problems like divorce and how it feels like to separate from family. That's why it like got Oscar nominations for Adam Driver Johansson because the way they did the argument was so real. Like I showed it to my mom and she's like, yeah, that is I've she's a attorney so she's dealt with divorced people before. That's it. That's how divorced people would act like when they're fighting.
Hmm.
So like that. So it's a real thing.
Yeah, and with the MCU, it's like back to what we were saying with how we want it to evolve. Yeah, I'd like to see it evolve where I can actually feel like I'm actually I'd say the only character I really felt like you can almost relate to in the MCU really is still Spider-Man. But it's like I'd like to be able to see that start coming across with other characters where I feel like I can relate to them a little better. And
Or
yeah,
Ant-Man, man.
thus far with yeah, I mean, yeah, you know what? With Ant-Man, you're right. Yeah, because of the relationship and how willing he is to do basically whatever he can for his daughter. So it's like, yeah, I mean, yes, perfect example. Can't believe I didn't. Can't believe that's not the one I popped out with. But yeah, yeah, the two bug characters. But
Exactly.
yes, so I don't know. I don't think the MCU is going to get to that point because it almost doesn't need to. I don't. I'd like to see it evolve, but at the same time, if it doesn't, it is what it is. Because sometimes we do just want to see a fun movie at the theater. But at the same time, a fun movie can also have some depth and substance to it sometimes.
I just don't want MCU to be like Fast and Furious, the Fast and Furious franchise, where it basically it practically follows the formula. Ever since I always stand to the testament that ever since Paul Walker passed away, they should have stopped with the Fast and Furious movies. Like I really think that right now they're
Hey,
just
you.
throwing like, oh,
But that's another one. Universal knows it will make them money. So
yeah,
keep going.
exactly, like right now. I mean like okay, the Fast and Furious movies, they have a formula. It's basically fast food. I know that's like people are gonna shoot me for that, but like really, look at it. It's like okay, what we're gonna do? We're gonna have Vin Diesel say family a couple of times. We're gonna have
Mhm.
shots of hot girls dancing, Dwayne the Rock Johnson flexing his abs, uh, some action scene at the very end, and we'll just throw in a plot there somewhere, and that's gonna be fine. Like no, like it. We've
Yeah,
seen it all
they're very
before.
boring. They're very boring to me at this point.
I mean, like
Like
Fast
and it's like
so
I don't even remember. I think it was either 6 or 7. I think it was 7. I think like Vin Diesel got in like 2 or 3 head-on collisions, and then he just got out of his car and got into a fist fight. I'm like, no, you should be like
you should
dead.
be like,
You
dude.
should have been killed in that collision right there. You both smashed into each other, driving right into each other. You should have a broken bone, a concussion, or dead.
Yeah, yeah.
But instead, it's get out at peak physical performance and get into a fist fight with Jason Statham.
That was in Fast and Furious 7. That's why I said that should have been the last movie. Because I mean, at this point, like look at Fast and Furious 8. Like he is fast enough to drive away from a heat-seeking missile.
Or
That's
what is
just
it? What wasn't 8 the one where they like did something with the submarine or something like that?
that's the one. That's the one.
They're such stupid films, and it's like I mean, they basically are. They're like they really are like the MCU of like the car world basically because that's what you go there for one specific thing. You go there to see like that. You go there to see the car chases and the one-liners. You
And the
go to
hot.
the MCU to see the booms, the explosions and the lame jokes.
Well, I'll still love the MCU despite that.
Yeah, more
But
power to anyone who loves it. I'm just my thing that I want to say to others is branch out, try some new stuff. And I've said that before, and I've had people be like, I don't like the DC movies. Well, then don't
it's not
watch the
just the
DC
DC movie.
movies. Watch something different. You don't have to only see the
Yeah,
blockbusters.
you really have to
Shouldn't be
branch out.
afraid to try something new when it comes to movies. Why do you want the same thing? That's like if I enjoyed, let's just say, like pizza. Everyone likes pizza. Now let's say I'm like, I love pizza, but I'm only gonna eat pizza going forward, and I'm just gonna always order from a different restaurant. Well, now I'm missing out on all sorts of different food that I could like better than pizza. And it's the same with the
Yeah.
MCU. To the people that only see the MCU and Star Wars and big blockbusters, you don't know what you could be missing.
Or
Like
like same.
like that Marriage Story. I liked Marriage Story far better than any of the MCU films in 2019. And it was a drama. I was going into a genre that I don't normally delve into. but I went into it with an open mind wanting to see it, and I wound up loving it. Or
Right?
another example, another one that you and I discussed last year, when Claws came out. It was an
Oh yeah.
animated kids film, and I love it. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
just be willing to try new stuff, because I
Yeah.
don't think the MCU is going to change the way we've been saying we want it to.
And I'm saying, and to all the viewers out there, look, I've been the most diehard MCU fan, really, seriously, like way more than like anyone. Trust me, I really have been. But I am telling you this right now, MCU is the Endgame story is over. So while it takes a breather, you should explore other stuff too. Explore dramas like me, dramas like Perks of Being a Wallflower, Marriage Story, Little Women. That's the drama I'm going. That's the genre I'm going for. If Chad here is going through musicals, I'm really watching a lot of drama. You know,
Hmm.
like Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I really want to watch that. I really want to watch or even some horror. Like I hate horror. I hate getting scared, but I watched Invisible Man. You know, like I
Oh,
took a
and it was,
chance.
and look at that, you loved it. I mean, it's.
Yeah,
I think you said it's. Is it? I mean, obviously, movies are about to slow down for quite a while, but I remember you told me like it was one of your favorites of. It's your favorite of the year so far, right?
oh no, it's Guns Akimbo.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
But
because or example like that, Guns Akimbo is Guns Akimbo. Okay, it's an action movie, but it's not made by a big budget studio like Universal or Warner Brothers or Marvel. It's made by an independent New Zealand film film studio, and it's way better than like any of the Fast and Furious movies that have come out. Like
mhm.
seriously, that's the thing. You know, you have to really branch out.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
I'm looking over my list right now of musicals, and I mean, there's a huge range of different types of films on this list. I mean, Sweeney Todd, that's like a horror musical. Phantom of the Opera, classic. But then I've also got stuff like Rocket Man, Les Mis, Chicago,
Sing
Rent,
Street.
Moulin Rouge. Yes, I mean, there's so many. There's so many when it comes to the musical genre that dive into the subgenres of different ways that they go about being a musical. So to me, it's just about, while the MCU is fun, it is. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it when it comes to that. I'm just saying we wish it would open up more and try new things, even though it's not. So if it's not going to, obviously still enjoy the MCU if you're an MCU fan. Please, neither of us are saying get away from it, stop watching it. Please, we want it to fail. I'd like it to update, even though it's not. But because I know it's not, it's still there if I'm interested in it. But being a film fan overall, not just an MCU fan, I'm interested in other stuff and like that. Musicals, I've watched a decent amount growing up. Like I liked Grease, Sound of Music, Mamma Mia, but I'm looking over it and I'm like, there's so many here that are like critically acclaimed and remembered for decades. It's like, why don't I want to look at this?
Exactly. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of being a film fan. MCU is not the end all be all. Like same with me. Like Harry Potter is not the end all be all of fantasy literature. Like I've read Lord of the Rings, I've read Percy Jackson, I've read Hunger Games, I've read all that stuff. So you have to
Speaking of
branch
which,
out.
if you want a fantasy film, I think I've told you this one, but I don't remember. If you're looking for one to get into next, do Willow.
I that's what I'm trying to go for. I'm really trying to look for other stuff that's not Harry Potter, even if it's my go-to franchise. Like I've always said to you, take any franchise away from me except Harry Potter, I will be fine. You know,
Hmm.
that's the thing. You
Yeah,
know,
it's the
like
same with me. Like horror, obviously, everyone knows the big names in horror: Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. And you know what? Go for the popular stuff to bring you in, obviously. But then that's when you have to start doing the digging. Like my movie collection is enormous. Maybe sometime we'll do an episode where we talk about our movie collections or something. But I'm like looking over my collection right now, and it's like I've got horror films that it's like I've had to. They were never going to be shown to me. They were never going to appear on popular lists. They were stuff that I seeked out and found myself. And those are some of the fun ones. Yes, the popular stuff is good, don't get me wrong, but it's the fun of digging into a genre and finding something that was lost or forgotten. Like there's a horror film I have called Tourist Trap. I don't even remember how I heard about it. Or another one called Home Sweet Home, which is about a killer killing people on Thanksgiving at some random house. And it's generic and it's really stupid. But it was fun finding it and then watching it because I knew I was one of the only people out of like all my friends who'd ever even heard of it. And then it was fun being able to be the one to be like, look, guys, I've got this movie you've probably never heard of. I want to show it to you. And that's what I find fun about being a film fan is expanding my knowledge and watching stuff that people haven't heard of so I can show it to them. Because that's what's fun to me. Like this, talking about the MCU like we've done for the past month, it was fun, but I mean, we've got other movies and franchises and genres we want to dive into. And
Exactly.
to me, I'm probably going to get a lot more passionate about some of the other ones.
Yeah, we're doing horror soon, right? So like the Conjuring universe. I'll be real with you. I've never really delved into that. I've seen Conjuring 1, 2, and Annabelle Creation, but I'm gonna go into it even if I don't like horror that much. I hate getting scared, but I will.
Exactly, and that's what makes it fun. That's what it's so much fun. Like I'm just like looking over our schedule right now that we've got written out all the way up through October. And it's like if you and I sat down, we could probably blast out the rest of the year to fill it up with episodes. But it's like we've got so much stuff coming up, and a lot more of it is stuff I'm a lot more passionate about than the MCU. Because when it's so mainstream that it's almost just like we're all we've really done is give you our insights into something that is so mainstream and so popular that everyone knows about. So that's why I'm looking forward to getting into stuff that you don't see a lot of people on YouTube talking about. So it's like that's why it'll be more fun for me because it'll be like, hey, I can suggest you go see this movie. Like the MCU, there wasn't a single one in it that I had to say, I suggest you see this film and here's why, because everybody's already seen them. So it almost took the fun out of it when it came to that because it's like everyone's already seen it. We're basically just saying our thoughts and that's about it. I can't really want to push someone to see these films because they've already all been seen.
Yeah. Okay, and I kind of think about what I said. Like as I look around my comic books of Marvel and my action figures that I've collected, I don't want that to go away also. Like take away any franchise except for like my Marvel memories and HP memories, and I'm fine. But that doesn't mean that you should stick with those. Well, my advice to anyone listening: don't play it safe. Be adventurous, explore.
You
Like
never know what you're going to come across. You might come across something that could become your new favorite movie, and you never would have found it if you hadn't tried looking for it.
exactly. Like for example, I recommended you Marriage Story and ended up loving it. You have recommended me like, wait, what do you have? You recommended me one of those movies I already watched. The
Which one? I've
Halloween.
recommended.
Halloween.
Yes.
Halloween. I was never interested in that before, but I watched it and I was like, oh my god, it's really actually super good.
Yep. Because I remember when you and I first met online, I remember you really only watched the big blockbusters, didn't you?
Not necessarily. No, I dabbled into like the independent stuff, like The Revenant, Whiplash, La La Land.
Mm-hmm.
La La Land was my favorite movie 2016. That was way before I met you, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like I was diehard MCU.
Well, no, okay, horror. I mean horror. Yeah, because I remember. Yeah, I remember when you and I first started talking. You told me you're like, I don't watch horror at all. And I was like, oh, you've got to try it. You've got to try it.
But by the time I talked to you, I watched like It and Hereditary. Those were like the two I watched. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of out of it. But then like, I went back and I did Halloween 2, and I was like, wow, it's really good because yeah, it really is good. And then like I've dabbled into the other old franchises like Alien. It's Covenant, but fine. I hope that counts.
It does.
Yeah,
For
but yeah,
now.
yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. You have to really be adventurous. You can't just watch Star Wars and Marvel You have to be out there. Just other like Marvel and Star Wars already 10% of how many films are actually released in one year.
Hmm. So I think that about wraps it up. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed listening to us talk about the MCU the past few weeks. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope we didn't piss off too many fanboys because I have a feeling we might have.
We might.
But no, overall, I had fun talking about these, and I'm really looking forward to what we've got coming up in the future. And as always, guys, if you've got ideas, comments, something to say to us, leave it down below. Let us know because we can't make the show better unless you tell us what you want. So that is it. I am signing off for today.
This is Santino logging off also. We hope to see you soon.
Guys, enjoy your day. We'll see you with our next franchise.